here at Kere, we're all about giving without expectation. We're inspired by the custom of Kere itself, which is a Fijian custom in which a relative or neighbour can request something, and it must be willingly given with no expectation of repayment. I'm James Murphy, and I'm the founder of the community coffee shop Kere. I was lucky enough to grow up in Fiji. We moved over when I was 5 and we stayed until I was 15. My family worked over there, and so it was a wonderful opportunity for me to grow up in a culture with no television, in which my brother and I needed to spend all our days inventing games to occupy ourselves. So it was a really rich childhood of growing up in a strong community and experiencing the Fijian people, which are some of the friendliest people in the world, and that left a lasting impression on me. We got started with Kere in March 2007, and this was our first site. We were a small little coffee cart. I had only had $1,500 when we first got started, so we rented everything and it was fun. We had to work it out day to day. We were obviously temporary. We had to pack it away each night. That was where it all began. I wanted to provide employment opportunities for young people with barriers to finding work. And the utopian part of the idea was that we distributed 100% of the profits. So when you bought your coffee here, you could either choose to support me as the owner or environmental or charities themselves. After our first year, we'd sort of grown up a little bit by that stage, and we worked out that renting everything week to week was getting expensive. So by this stage, we learnt that we needed to purchase the coffee carts. So I sort of asked around, in particular my family, and I thought, hey Dad, hey, do you have a spare $10,000 you can lend me for the coffee carts? His response was not what I was expecting in terms of willingly giving, but he did lend me the $10,000 but charged me 13.5% interest. He is an accountant, so you don't blame him, but he did teach me an important lesson about what it means to run a business. I developed the idea for Kere whilst I was studying here at the University of Melbourne. I did a Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Social Work, and in my final year of my social work degree, I managed to write up the proposal for what Kere is today. Here it is. How you going? So after the cart in 2010, we dared to dream, and we got 3 metres by 3 metres to build what we call the Kere kiosk. By this stage, I had a bit more negotiation power with my family, and I refinanced with my granddad, and I borrowed $80,000 at 8% interest to build what you see today. The response to this site was overwhelming. We went from serving 300 or 400 customers a day in the John Medley building to growing over a 3-year period to serve 1,000 customers a day from this site. Now, it was fantastic, obviously, from a financial point of view to be able to pay back the debts and grow the business. But what we learnt is that bigger is not necessarily better. What we were proud about in this site was activating a space, being part of facilitating a community, and we grew to a stage where we could no longer connect with our customers. So the very thing that had grown our business became problematic. It also became problematic for our youth training model. The line would grow so big, many of our young people would become overwhelmed, or at the very least, their performance would get affected. Moving to Boyd was about creating a more supportive workplace for our young people. So we're down here at Boyd Community Hub. Boyd was the first community hub of the City of Melbourne, so we were delighted to be given the opportunity to run the coffee shop here.
The tennis space, a small flat white.
It's also a more supportive workplace for our young people, so it provides a much better fit for us to be able to connect and engage with our local community.
I owe a lot to James. It's been like a personal development platform for me, working in this space, which is really nice. I feel like I've grown a lot.
So welcome to Kere Green. This is our newest location here in the Fitzroy Gardens. We're very close to the city and also the East Melbourne community. So we act as a community hub for the locals. And then being opposite Cook's Cottage, there's a huge amount of international tourists that drop by here. So we're certainly also a tourist hub. Each time you order a coffee at Kere, you get a playing card. Can I have a week-long back?
Yep.
So today I'm the 6 of diamonds. And I hold on to this while I'm waiting for my coffee. I can check my Kerescope. Today will be a good day for having a nap. But most importantly, each month we contribute $500 to initiatives that celebrate community, and we invite you to help choose where it goes. Each year we take on 2 young people and we give them a job, and we train them up in everything that it takes to run a coffee shop, and we train them in our ethos of generosity and really involve them in the community spirit in terms of what we do. And really what we do each year is we commit to them for a period of 12 months, and we work through the issues as they come up. So those are simple things like not turning up on time, to some more difficult things like bad experiences with customers, things like that, and how do you actually work through that stuff. In the first year of a new business like it is here, it's very challenging because you're trying to grow the business, and I suppose we're in a customer relationship business, so it's all about developing those relationships with people. And when you put someone with barriers to finding work in that position, is that it doesn't work sometimes, you know? So we do a lot of work in terms of how to make that work, and when it does, it's really successful. But to be honest, it's something that's really difficult to do. When I first came out of uni, I worked as a social worker. My first job was in child protection. It was a very difficult job, but I suppose what I learned is that the change that I wanted to make actually required time, and what people needed was a job and a place where they felt welcomed and a community around that. And I suppose that's why I started the business, is really to provide those opportunities for people and to be able to have a long-term relationship with them, rather than just as a caseworker, which is sort of like in and out. We also host a range of community events that help in celebrating the local community. These are small things like when you get the Ace of Hearts, you get a free coffee. Sometimes we do free fruit day on Fridays, to some of our bigger events like free cake day, or each year for our birthday, we celebrate by giving away free coffee for the day, which is called Kere Day. Our community events are a great way to bring the community together, a ritual around celebrating community. Having said that, celebrating community is a really hard thing to do because people don't have much time, it takes resources, you've got to invest energy in it, so community actually takes investment. We try to build in as many high-touch elements to this business, things like the playing cards, the furniture, the environment of being in a park, being in a community hub. All of those things are strategic decisions about the experience or the feeling we're trying to create with our customers. In 5 years' time, thinking about where Kere will be, I suppose our hope is really that the idea of Kere is scaled up, So the idea of, generosity in our community, but more importantly, the idea of celebrating community. That's the idea that we want to see in other enterprises, in other businesses. It's really around them fostering their own version of community. So Kere won't be a franchise or the next thing, because it's not the point, The advice I'd give to starting social entrepreneurs is to really understand what they're doing it for. The more you can understand why and what you're doing, the more likely you are to have a customer base and a community that's willing to support you. I think the challenge is to make sure it's very clear what and why you're doing it for.